What's up guys, Dan here from Bloom Corp, aka Dan Muntstar, and I'm going to give you a recap on the latest Apple event. We're going to go straight into things and we're going to talk about the Apple TV. As you can see here, I'm holding the old version of the Apple TV, and the Apple TV will keep the same shape. It'll stream at 1080p as opposed to 720p, which is on this current model here. It will feature probably the same ports on the back here, which is the power cord, HDMI, optical audio and Ethernet port, as well as your mini USB port just there. It will also cost only $99 on release, and the biggest point about this, it'll release with a new UI, user interface. This is going to be more streamlined, which is going to have a Genius bar included. The Genius bar will look at your previous watches and recommend future watches, such as Netflix and LoveFilm do currently in the UK. And for all you Americans out there, probably Netflix and Hulu Plus probably do something similar to that. As you can see here, the Apple TV probably won't really change too much from my current model here, and it'll probably stay about the same shape, if any change at all. Again, final cover up on the Apple TV, it'll have 1080p, it'll have a better user interface, it's included with Genius, and it starts at $99. The main aim of this recap is to cover the Apple iPad. It's not called the iPad 2S, it's not called the iPad 3 or the HD, it's just called the iPad. We're going to get straight into things. If you just want to click down here, obviously you can see all of these thumbnails down here. All of these will basically talk you through the certain areas and skip straight to that content. We're going to start off with the price. Apple have kept the price standard, starting at $499 up to $699 for the Wi-Fi edition. That's 16, 32GB and 64GB editions. They have also reduced the price of the iPad 2 down to $399. Moving on, Apple have increased their camera. It will now boast a 5-megapixel camera, which is the same as that of the iPhone 4. It features 1080p video recording, just to bump up Apple's specs again. And it's something that I feel was necessary in this iPad just to take it to the next stage. Obviously, Galaxy and the Kindle, they're all trying to nip away at Apple's market share, and I feel they were doing a great job at doing so this was much needed. Apple has increased their display to a Retina display at 2048 by 1536 resolution, and that's 3.1 million pixels according to Apple. Apple have also increased their saturation rate at 44%, which will give a great detail to the image. Alongside the Retina display, Apple is also powering the new device with an impressive Apple A5X chip, and that's not the Apple A6 chip that everyone thought it was going to be. This is going to be a quad-core chip, and it's meant to be 4 times faster than that of the Tegra 3. I'm unknown as to what the chip will actually boast, however, because Apple haven't really released any key details. However, I believe it does increase the graphic content significantly, but I don't know about the processor bump, if it actually has been increased at all. We're going to move on now to Siri. Siri hasn't really played a major role in the new content for the iPad. They've got a Siri-like feature for the iPad, and this is going to be like a feature when you're speaking to it, it will type. However, Siri has not been fully integrated into the iPad, and we can expect that from the next generation. The iPad will also feature 4G LTE. Now, I'm going to pop an image up on the screen now, and I'm going to talk over it. As you can see there, the EVDO, HSPA, HSPA+, DC, HSDPA, and all of those are pretty impressive as they've moved up throughout time. However, if you look at LTE, it's a powerful 73 compared to that of 42 and 21 of HSPA and DC, HSDPA. And Apple is quoted on saying, "It's no small feat. The new iPad has the most wireless bands that's ever been shipped." Now, if you are in the grounds to buy the Wi-Fi plus 4G, you have got to take into account the contract plan that you're going to be taking out, and the LTE in America currently has a $129 contract plan, and in the UK isn't available until roughly 2013. So that is something major you have to take into consideration. Apple have also maintained the battery life at a standard 10 hours, something which is standard in the current iPad 2 model. Don't have it in my hands, just looking around there, can't find it. However, 10 hours is something I'm really impressed with my iPad 2, and something I can imagine people will be really impressed with in the future. So I think that was a great point to stress at. I'm going to round this off with the console quality. Namco and Epic Games came on to state how good Apple graphics processing and gaming quality their console was. Quote unquote here, guys. Console quality, the only place to truly experience the intensity of action, the richness of detail, is on an iPad. And Epic Games did come onto the stage to show off their new game. The new game is called Infinity Blade Dungeons. The crowd went wild for this game when it was shown on, so I can only assume it was pretty impressive. Having not been there myself, I am going to have to wait till the Apple keynote does appear on YouTube. However, I can imagine it's going to be something breathtaking. I will put the link down below once the Apple keynote does come on, so if you just want to check down below constantly, and we will have a link there. I'm going to finish off with what I wanted to see from this keynote, what's missing, and what my final impressions are of the Apple device. One big thing that was missing, near-field communication, something I really wanted in this device, something that I think would set it aside from everything else, but it didn't happen. I have to assume that's going to happen in the iPhone 5, and it's going to happen next year in the iPad, the next release. However, I really did want to see it in this one. It is kind of like a stepping point as to me questioning, do I really want this device? The second major thing was Senseg technology. I believe this was a rumour that just came around about a week before the iPad keynote, and it did sound too good to be true, and I would imagine it's going to be 2 years before we get something like that. However, people were speculating because Apple did say you can see and touch this, and I believe that people were thinking maybe power behind the pixels. However, that didn't happen. It's not a major thing. I did want to see it from the iPad. I didn't have it in my rumour mill because I didn't know about it at the time. However, it's not something major. And now to finally round it up. I recommend you probably buy the iPad, new one that is. If you don't have an iPad, yeah, go for it. If you've got an iPad original, yeah, go for it. However, take into consideration the iPad 2 has just had a $100 price bump. It's just been taken down a notch by $100. How can you not turn that down? I must also take into consideration, compare the specs. Check on our website and we will have a spec relation in the next couple of days on what you would see from the iPad new and the iPad 2. Equally, why have they called it the iPad? Why have they not bumped up to the iPad 3 or the iPad 2S? It will confuse a lot of people, and it is starting to confuse me whilst trying to do this roundup. So take that into consideration also. Again, guys, this is Dan from Bloom Corp. I recommend, as an Apple fanboy and an Apple collector, get the iPad 2 if you haven't already got an iPad. Get the iPad new. If you want to pay that extra price, you want to see the new specifications, and you just want to see that breathtaking technology, I suppose you call it. Again, aka Dan Munster here. I just want to say peace out. Comment down below if you've got anything to say about this video. Subscribe for more tech related content. Equally, like the video if you feel like I've done a good job. I feel I have. Do you? Peace out.